Picture this. A guy makes $310,000 a year. Corner office, leased SUV, 2 vacations already booked for next year. Then his transmission dies on a Tuesday. The repair quote comes back at $4,000 and he genuinely doesn't know where that money is going to come from. Not because he's bad with money in some obvious way, because every dollar of that $310,000 already has a job to do before it even lands in his account. That's the contradiction we're talking about today. Rich on paper, broke in reality. And if you assume this only happens to people who make bad decisions, sit with this for a second. Because some of the highest earners in the country are one missed paycheck away from panic, and most of them have no idea it's happening until the car breaks down, the job disappears, or the bonus doesn't come through. And this isn't a small fringe problem. According to a 2025 Goldman Sachs report, 41% of Americans earning between $300,000 and $500,000 a year live paycheck to paycheck. 40% of those earning over $500,000 report the same thing. Read that again. 4 out of 10 people making $500,000 annually feel they have no financial cushion. They earn more in a single month than many Americans earn in an entire year, and they still feel the same financial anxiety as someone making a fraction of that. Here's what we're doing in this video. First, I'll show you why this happens specifically to smart, hard-working, genuinely high-earning people. Then we'll break down the actual mechanics of how it happens without anyone noticing. And by the end, I'll give you one simple way to check if you're already standing inside this trap right now with your current paycheck. Let's start with the part that surprises people most. Income and financial security are not the same thing, and they're barely even related once you cross a certain threshold. Financial writers have started calling this the high-income poverty trap, and once you notice it, you start seeing it everywhere. There's also an older nickname for the same idea, Henry, short for high earner, not rich yet. The same person who would have felt rich making $70,000 a year somehow feels squeezed, making $300,000 because the house got bigger, the school got more exclusive, and the version of normal they're living in moved right along with the income. This isn't a small subset of careless people, it's structural. The moment your income rises, the spending and lifestyle options available to you expand right along with it. At $70,000, there's a hard ceiling on what anyone will let you spend on housing or a car every month. At $300,000, that ceiling basically disappears. So the constraint goes away, but the underlying math doesn't. You end up committing the exact same percentage of your paycheck to fixed costs as someone earning a third of what you do, except now the numbers have more zeros. And the stakes feel heavier every time something goes wrong. Here's why almost nobody catches this in real time. Lifestyle upgrades rarely happen all at once. They creep in one reasonable decision at a time. You start eating out because cooking after a 60-hour week feels impossible. You upgrade the car because the old one finally feels embarrassing to pull up in. You move because the new place has a real office and good schools nearby. Each choice, on its own, is completely defensible. You can justify every single one in isolation. But your bank balance doesn't evaluate decisions in isolation, it adds them up. And once enough reasonable choices stack on top of each other, your income is fully spoken for before you've made a single impulsive purchase. The part that makes this so dangerous is what happens once a comfort becomes permanent. Going out to eat occasionally is a treat. Going out to eat constantly is now your baseline, and dropping back down to cooking at home doesn't feel like saving money anymore. It feels like losing something. That's the trap, quietly closing the door behind you. Once a luxury becomes routine, removing it feels like punishment instead of a return to normal. So almost nobody removes it. They just go looking for more income to make the math work again, and when that income shows up, it gets absorbed by whatever the next version of normal happens to be. And the data shows exactly where the money goes. Food delivery spending among Americans rose over 10% in a single year, averaging nearly $180 a month. Streaming subscriptions, ride shares, premium apps, each one feels trivial on its own, but they stack quietly into thousands of dollars a year that disappear without leaving anything behind. At higher income levels, the same psychology plays out at a larger scale. First class instead of economy, hotels instead of Airbnbs. Every upgrade feels minor until the whole income is committed. Now here's where this gets genuinely useful. Two people can earn the exact same income and end up in completely different positions, and the gap usually has nothing to do with the number on their paycheck. Picture two coworkers, same title, same salary, hired the same year. One of them feels constantly behind, anxious about money despite the income. The other seems relaxed, takes real vacations, and somehow already has a meaningful amount saved. The difference is rarely a secret side income or a lucky break. It's that one of them decided, early and on purpose, what percentage of every paycheck was untouchable before it ever reached their checking account. The other is still operating on whatever happens to be left over at the end of the month, which for most people, conveniently, is always close to zero. Research on actual millionaires backs this up. Studies consistently show that most millionaires don't look wealthy at all. They live in ordinary neighborhoods, drive older cars, and budget even after crossing the $1 million mark. The typical millionaire invested at least 15% of their income before paying for anything else. Not whatever was left over, 15% off the top, every single month before the lifestyle got a single dollar. Compare that to the national savings rate, which sat at just 3.6% at the end of 2025. Most people are saving less than 4 cents of every dollar they earn, and then wondering why the numbers never seem to add up. So here's a quick gut check you can run on yourself right now. Take your last raise, your last bonus, or your last real jump in income and ask yourself honestly what happened to it. If you can point to where a meaningful chunk of it went into savings or investments, you're already ahead of this. If the honest answer is that your lifestyle simply expanded to absorb it and you genuinely can't account for where it went, that's not a moral failure, but it is the exact mechanism we've been talking about playing out live in your own life. Breaking out of this doesn't require earning less or living like you're broke. It requires deciding what your money is for before it arrives instead of after. The people who actually build wealth at any income level tend to do one specific thing differently. They treat their savings and investing contribution as the first bill they pay every month, not whatever happens to be left over. Whatever remains after that is what funds the lifestyle, which means the lifestyle has to fit inside what's left, instead of savings being whatever survives the lifestyle. It's a small reordering on paper, and it changes almost everything over time because money that gets moved away before you can spend it keeps growing quietly for years without you ever having to feel the discomfort of saying no to yourself. Go back to the guy with the dead transmission for a second. He's not a cautionary tale because he made $310,000. He's a cautionary tale because none of that income was ever assigned a job beyond funding the life he was already living. The income was real. The cushion never existed because nobody built one on purpose. That's the entire trap summarized in one broken down car. If this video made you a little uncomfortable, good. That's usually the sign you needed to watch it. Pick one number this week, just one, the amount you'd want sitting untouched before you'd actually feel like you had a financial cushion, and start moving toward it on purpose. Subscribe if you want more of this, because we're going to keep pulling these patterns apart one at a time, and I'll see you in the next one.